Good morning. Good morning, my friends. And thanks so much for coming to hang out with me today. It is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. We're going back to Vegas, babies. We are going back to Vegas. Today's the day. Today's the day of the sentencing hearing of Robert Tellis. We're winging it today, my friends, because I'm trying to find a live feed on this. And according to my research, it looks like Fox 5 Las Vegas is going to carry it live. I've got their website up, so I just don't know. They've got like 4 feeds here. If anybody else has a better feed for this, let me know. And you have an important question, Helena. What is your important question? What's the important question? So it is expected that Boss Baby is going to get up today and talk at his sentencing hearing. It is expected we will also hear victim impact statements, and the judge is going to be able to decide his sentence. You may recall all the way back, it feels so long ago, doesn't it? It was all the way back in August that Robert Tellis, aka Boss Baby, was convicted of open murder in a Las Vegas Clark County courtroom for the murder of investigative journalist Jeff Gehrman. And that murder occurred on September 2nd of 2022. It involves our favorite judge, Judge Leavitt, who is our cross between Betsey Johnson and Cyndi Lauper with the voice of Megan Mullally's character from Will and Grace. And we have all of these emojis that we haven't used in such a long time. Here's a Boss Baby. That is a special member perk, for those of you who remember. Now, what had happened was the jury found Tellis guilty of first-degree murder with a deadly weapon against a victim 60 or older. And they did also decide his prison sentence, and they gave him life in prison with the possibility of parole in 20 years, which is so different, isn't it, from the Carly Gregg trial in which a 14-year-old was convicted of murder in Mississippi, tried as an adult, and the jury sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of ever having parole in the killing of her mother. And it was established, I thought, at trial that Carly Gregg had severe mental health issues. She had been on some medication. Her medication had been changed. And, Robert Tellis is getting possibility of parole after 20 years. So it just doesn't seem like the justice system works fairly from state to state, in my opinion. Different case, different judge, different jury. But today, what is going to happen is that Judge Michelle Leavitt, our favorite judge of the month or the week or the season, I don't know, she might be my favorite judge of the whole entire year. And she took such a backseat to this trial that she didn't, overtake the proceedings like some other judges we've seen lately. She's going to decide about if there are any enhancements that should be added to the sentence for the first-degree murder involving a victim over the age of 60, and she's able to adjust the minimum number of years that Tellis can spend in prison before he's eligible for parole to anywhere between 1 and 8 additional years. So Robert Draskovich, the attorney for Robert Tellis, is expected to speak. It is expected that Boss Baby himself will get up on the stand and have a lot of things to say, because he still has a lot of things to say. After the verdict, we watched some oh, look at this, Las Vegas. They're showing the Sphere. Hold on, I got to show you this. This is pretty cool. If you guys have never been to the Sphere. Oh man, they just put it on commercial. Lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Hold on, let's see. It happens. I wonder if it'll let me rewind back, because they had a cool view, a cool shot of the Sphere. We watched some post-trial, post-verdict interviews from jail of Robert Tellis. You remember that? Those were very, very, very interesting. Judge Carroll also was a good judge from Maya Kowalski. I agree with you there. He was really good. I'm just wondering if they're going to be covering this on this live or on this Fox Live events station. Anybody local in Las Vegas who knows? Yeah, the judge, that's right. I'm sorry. The judge may add additional time. That's where I was going with that. So the judge can adjust the minimum number of years that Tellis spends in prison from anywhere between 1 and 8 additional years based on the enhancement, which include, and that's for killing a victim 60 years of older with a deadly weapon. So he is going to be able to give a statement to the judge, taking into account the 2 years that he's already spent in jail since being arrested for Jeff Garman's murder. He could be eligible for parole in 19 to 26 years, but he still faces a maximum term of life in prison if he's not granted parole. Draskovich has previously said that he intends to appeal the case, but I don't think we've seen any appellate papers filed yet in this case.
Oh, hey. With Zeem, you can stream free local TV from all over the country. Zeem speaks for itself. It really doesn't need a celebrity spokesperson.
Hey, John Stamos. 11:30. 11:30. It's supposed to be 11:30. So it's supposed to be 8:30 Las Vegas time, which is 11:30 New York time, which is in 7 minutes. So let's see if anybody has a better feed for this. It doesn't look like Law and Crime is covering it or Court TV today, which is kind of weird because they did cover the trial. Maybe they're too busy. Oh, let's see. Here's KT. Here's a 3-minute piece from KTNV Channel 13 Las Vegas that we could watch while we're waiting. This just was posted just now.
In order for justice to be justice, there needs to be an element of mercy. You know, a person has to pay. There has to be this idea of punishment for a crime. But at the same time, there has to be this element of hope.
We're only here because of the actions of one person and one person alone.
Jimmy
And it's the
Spence.
defendant. The state doesn't believe that we should ignore the fact that what happened here was literally a journalist wrote a story or a series of stories and lost their life over it because someone or a politician, outgoing politician, just did not like the consequences of the writing.
This morning, the former public official convicted of murdering a local investigative journalist will learn if he'll get more time added to his sentence. A jury returned that guilty verdict for Robert Tellis in August. It's a high-profile case that grabbed national headlines, and today marks what could be its final chapter.
And we've been tracking it all from the very beginning. This morning, our Isabella Martin is joining us live from the Regional Justice Center with what we can expect in court today as Tellis gets ready to learn more about his fate. Good morning, Isabella.
Oh, I guess Court TV can't be there.
Good morning, Justin and Anjali. In just a few hours, Robert Tellis will face additional sentencing right here at the Regional Justice Center. Now, back in August, a jury found Robert Tellis guilty of murdering Review Journal reporter Jeff Garman. Now, Tellis was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 20 years. This was for stabbing Garman in response to a series of articles that exposed misconduct during Tellis's time as a Clark County official. Now, Tellis was found guilty of first-degree murder with a deadly weapon against a victim over 60 years old. Now, because of enhanced circumstances of Garman's age and Tellis's use of a deadly weapon, today the judge will decide whether to extend Tellis's minimum time behind bars before he becomes eligible for parole, with the possibility of adding 1 to 8 more years. Now, prosecutors and Tellis's defense attorney, Robert Draskovich, will have a final chance to speak before the judge announces her decision. Now, Channel 13 spoke with Draskovich back in August, shortly after the initial sentence was handed down.
I'm relieved that they gave him the possibility of parole. I was concerned that they may not. this case,
Harley Craig
the
didn't get
state
it.
presented an overwhelming amount of evidence. I mean, I try cases for a living. Some cases, there's a great deal of evidence. Some, there's so much evidence, it's almost insurmountable. Like I said, the state did a great job presenting their case, and we presented the very best case that we could.
Telles will also have an opportunity to address the court before his final sentence is given. And since Telles has already spent 2 years in jail following his arrest for Gehrman's murder, he could be eligible for parole in 18 to 26 years. That's depending on today's sentencing. However, if parole is denied, he still faces a maximum sentence of life in prison. Now, Channel 13 will be at his sentencing today and will continue to give you updates both on air and online. Reporting in Las Vegas, I'm Isabella Martin. Back to you all in the studio.
Look at Private Info gifting 10 memberships. That is so very kind and generous of you. Thank you so very much for that. You're awesome. Got it on Fox 5. We're going to, whoever was gifted, welcome and congratulations. And thank you so very much. Private Info, $50 super chat. Love your streams, Melanie. You ever near Boston and want a Chick-fil-A lunch date? Let's meet. Let me know. I'm cute and cook, clean, and have a job. Okay, just playing around with your lunch money. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can get a nice lunch for 50. Thank you so very much. You're cute and you cook and you clean and you have a job. I mean, like you're checking all the boxes there, guy. That is good. You know, you got to have a job if you want to be with me. Remember that song? I think it's song lyrics. Let's hope that is coming up on Fox 5's local newscast because they also have a live stream. Live. They said they were covering it live. Too many trials, too little time. We don't need tell us to tell us anything, but I do appreciate the John Stamos commercials because, I mean, look, this guy is like Benjamin Button. He's like aging in reverse. What is going on with John Stamos? It's crazy. And every time I put on something that gives me commercials now on the internet, I get makestickers.com commercials. For those of you who are in Canton or Massachusetts, anywhere, you know what makestickers.com is because Rubber Ducky Gate is a real thing. And that is where the man who is being charged with several felonies for what I consider to be his freedom of speech, putting little rubber duckies around town with little stickers on the bottom and with his opinions. He's being charged with a bunch of felonies, but he ordered those stickers from makestickers.com. So there's that. Let me check their other live feed and see if it's going to be on there instead. That'll make it easy. That's for sure. Oh, now at 8:30. Okay, what does it say? Where's the volume?
To Vegas. Okay, so we are going to do weather and traffic very quickly because we are expecting the sentencing for Robert Telles to start any moment now. So let's turn things on over to Maddie G first with a look at weather. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We're starting off pretty chilly outside, at least in the 60s for a majority of the valley, but 70 degrees at the Reed International. And we're going to be looking at a pretty decent start as well. Light winds right now and some breezes also on the way.
70 degrees is chilly in Vegas. This is why I need to move. I'm so tired of this cold weather already, and it's been like 3 days in New York.
Dew point temperature at 32 degrees. We'll be tracking those temperatures in the 60s and 70s for the next couple of hours outside. So 68 degrees in North Las Vegas, 62 in Pahrump, Boulder City at 70 out there. And we'll take a look at your dog walking forecast as well. We showed Chet last half hour, and Chet, a little cutie there. Yeah, thank you to Phil. Hopefully you're watching this morning.
I need to be one of those like California people who are just like, you know, it's 60 degrees and they're breaking out the puffy jackets, you know. Need that. It's freezing here in New York too. It was like 40 something this morning. And look at it, it's going to be 90, and they're complaining that it's a chilly 70. It's a chilly 70 is what they're saying. I can't wait to see Boss Baby talk again today. I'm excited. Move to Tennessee with Will. I don't know. I think it's cold there too.
Did
you guys watch our show last night?
This is the reason why we're dealing with the wind.
I went on the Glare last night, and I thought it was a really good show. Did you guys watch it? We had nothing planned, and it wound up being like 3 hours of really good stuff. So if you guys watched it, let me know what you think. If you didn't watch it, go back and watch it later over on the Glarus channel. 61 degrees in LA. You're an LA thrifter. Let me tell you something. When I take my girls, because I have 3 teenage daughters, they love thrifting. And they especially love thrifting in LA because there's some really good stuff to be found. It's like a treasure hunt. It is like a treasure hunt. Thanks, Patty Minko. You liked the show last night? Thank you very much. Thank you, Patty. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Joyce. Is there a date for this telethon that we're doing yet? This 12-hour marathon as a fundraiser for Karen Reed and Aiden Carney. I think Will was talking about doing some sort of 12-hour like telethon, having a bunch of guests come in and out like an open house. Thanks, Kate. Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, Donna said we were hilarious. A lot of it we tried to be serious about because we did not want to make any, the text message stuff was serious. We did not want to make a joke out of that.
Again, for Robert Tellis, as we wait to find out how long he'll be staying in prison. The former Clark County official was found guilty of murdering local reporter Jeff Gehrman. The jury recommended a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 20 years.
According to our sources, Tellis will speak in court today. Our Victoria Saha is inside the courtroom where she said the Gehrman family has arrived along with several women from the Clark County Public Administration Office where Tellis worked. She will be joining us live on air after the sentence is handed down.
A rock star from the 80s, Jake E. Lee, is recovering.
Wait, they're not going to cover it live? They're only going to cover it
South Valley while walking his dog. Metro says that around 2:40 a.m., officers responded to the shooting in a neighborhood near Valley View and Star Avenue. This is a look at the neighborhood in daylight where it happened. Officers found the former guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne, according to reports.
Do you remember our favorite reporter, Jaewon Jun? She's in court and she's live tweeting. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Here's what she says. It's a packed courtroom for the sentencing of Robert Tellis. This was 1 minute ago. His former co-workers, Jeff Gehrman's family and D.A. Wolfson, all in the gallery. Robert Draskovich has filed a motion to withdraw as counsel. What? Like today? I mean, the most recent reporting that I've seen on this, they said that he was expected to speak. This is very interesting news. Let's see what KTNV has to say. Got to KTNV up. Do they have a live feed? Let's see. Watch now. I mean, that's just not right, Fox 5, because you promised me that you were going to be covering this live. That's crazy. Well, it says live. Robert Tellis appears in court for sentencing, so maybe they're going to go back to it. But didn't they just say they were going to, after the sentencing, they were going to come back? Because right now they're talking about Boulder Highway slowdowns. Fox News dropping the ball on something. You know what they did to me? You guys, did you watch the Carly Gregg stream that I did with you yesterday? And I played that unedited version of the Kevin Gregg interview. They copyright struck me. They did not want me talking about that unedited interview of Kevin Gregg. And so I had to go back and I had to cut it out of my video, which is fine. But I mean, it's a little like if you go back on the replay to watch it, it's a little disjointed because I had to cut out like all the parts where I played the video, but you could still like my commentary was in there, which is good because my commentary was fire yesterday on that case. If I do say so myself, because sometimes we're just fire with the chat and everything. And oh yes, they did. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, they did. Oh yes, they both reached for the gun. Now, it's going to come up in your feed now, and you're going to thank me because that is one of my favorite things that comes up on my For You page is all of the dances of Oh Yes, which is from the musical Chicago. If you know, you know. Yes, oh yes, they did, Alsalt. Yes, they did. Thank you, Donna Burke. So what I did, if you go back and watch it on the replay, I linked to the video to the interview, to that unedited interview below, so that you could watch it on your own and then come back for my hysterical, hilarious commentary, because that guy is a whack job. Remember how they called Karen Reed a whack job in the text messages between Procta and his friends? You want to talk about a whack job? Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you saw the original too. Yes, the Amazon wish list is also linked in the video description. A lot of books on that wish list. So you can find that in yesterday's video description. I was able to, somebody was kind enough to email that to me. So thank you so very much for that. I also came across, I don't know if you guys are interested in this, but I came across yesterday, somebody sent me again. You guys are amazing. You're so collaborative. The Dancing Weatherman. Yes, I love the Dancing Weatherman. I've sent him an email to come on my channel because he did a video about his sobriety. And I thought that would be such an interesting show to do with him, because he said he's open to talking about it. The Dancing Weatherman. Love that guy. He also does dances, obviously. That's how I found him.
3-game homestand, pretty, you know, very successful. They went 3-0. It's got to catch up to them a little bit. Yeah.
All right, 8:37 now. Calling all Instagram users. There's an update that includes something new.
How is this feature making it easier for users to share their profile with each other?
Oh, we don't care. We want to hear about Boss Baby. Joyce said, I was here 12 hours yesterday and this is not fire. Melanie started the fire. That's great. All right, come on. Why are you not live streaming KNTV Las Vegas? Let's see, 4:30 a.m. All right, we'll see if they cover it live. Maybe there's no cameras in the courtroom today. Not happy about that. They do watch me. I know they do. Because I don't think Bridget Todd has done any other interviews. So when Nancy Grace called her to go on, she declined. And Nancy Grace's people said, well, you know, you've done 2 other interviews, and they were both on my channel. And we have far more viewers and far more views. You should come on our channel. And I think Bridget was like, yeah, no, thank you. Because I'm nice. Look, I'm getting a reputation of being nice to people who come on my show. Isn't that so incredible? What a great reputation to have. I appreciate it. I also thought the commentary was fire, but it's so important to have copies of that interview and the commentary out there. Yep. I mean, I couldn't even play it, so I had to edit. I'll have J1 up, so if she's got anything new, we're gonna hear about it. Have I tried doing the dance? No, but I did find an instructional video on YouTube, because, you know, you can find anything you want on YouTube. But I have not even tried to do it yet. I just don't have time. I'm not really a dancer, but it would be fun to learn. Tara says, love that Tellus's attorney is setting a healthy emotional and professional boundary, but getting out. Yeah, really interesting for those of you who are just coming in. All right, here it is again. Here's J1's tweet, another tweet 1 minute ago. Prosecutor Pamela Weckerly tells me Draskovich plans to withdraw as counsel after the sentencing. Oh, so that means he doesn't want to take on the appeal, I imagine. A jury already sentenced Tellus to life with the possibility of parole after 20 years. Today, the judge will add 1 to 8 years onto the sentence before parole eligibility. We read that one before, which said that Draskovich filed a motion to withdraw. Interesting stuff. There is a hearing in the Boone case today. They made some motions. The motion about the battered spouse defense. and the judge ruled that her attorney is allowed to talk about it in opening, but they need to present some evidence of battered spouse in order to close on it. They have to show in Florida, as you may recall from the Ashley Benefield trial, she couldn't even use battered spouse. But Sarah Boone is going to have to show some sort of overt act by George Torres in order to use battered spouse, some overt act that day that put her in imminent fear of bodily harm. And so the judge said to the defense attorney for Sarah Boone, what is the overt act? We haven't heard anything. I mean, she's talked to the experts. She's talked to, she's testified in court and she's given her story. And KSNV, NBC3, are they? Okay. Thank you very much. And he said, well, the overt act is the his 2 fingers coming out of the suitcase. His 2 fingers coming out of the suitcase was an overt act because of everything that he had done to her in the past. She was in fear for her life that he was going to come after her and attack her. So that is what they're claiming the overt act is. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if the jury's going to buy it. What just happened here? Let me know what you think about that. That his 2 fingers coming out of that suitcase.
Which was a great interview by Dana Wagner, which is from what we just heard. And if you want to check out more in all 18 minutes of that conversation, please head on over to our website, news3lv.com, and you can view it in full. And coming up next right here on ARC Las Vegas, the largest student farmers market in the country is set to open this morning.
I don't see the KSNV has it live. They're still talking about Instagram over there on the other one. I don't know. Did everyone lose interest in this case? Like there's no cameras there today? That's crazy. Sarah Boone has to testify. Yes, she does. I think she does too. Private Info gifted another 10 memberships. That's 20 memberships. 20 memberships. Congratulations to all the 20 new members. $50 and a date offer. I don't know. I might have to rethink this whole not meeting anybody on the internet thing. Thank you. Thank you very much for your kindness and generosity, Private Info. Thank you. So I think this battered spouse thing about Sarah Boone is going to be interesting. She is such a character. And they're not even done picking the jury yet. And I said this, that I thought that if she's heavily involved in jury selection, which, how could she not be? She knows this case better than anybody and she loves to talk. It's going to take forever. Sir Winston Squeakerson says it feels like Boone is controlling his legal moves and he has nothing to back it up, but he doesn't want to say no to Sarah. You talking about the attorney? Yeah. Harry Ducky said Boone's defense wants to add in around 500 pages of George's medical records. That's interesting. Oh, thanks, Debbie, for saying that I'm nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, look, Cupcake, he told her he couldn't breathe. It's crazy. Ramblin' Rome says it was his whole hand. She had only zipped it to close. So only zipped it closed to 2 fingers. An overt act. Yep. I mean, look at the difference in demeanor and just to compare cases. And we can compare cases because that's what we do here. We're a legal-based channel. Many of you watched the Ashley Benefield trial with me. And many of you in my chat, I have a very, very high percentage of survivors and victims of all kinds of, terrible things, DV, SA, CSA. And if you look at the demeanor of somebody on the stand like Ashley Benefield and you compare it to somebody on the stand like Sarah Boone, and you want to talk about being a victim or a survivor of DV, so many people during the Ashley Benefield trial did not believe her. They thought she was a liar. They thought she was a, a faker, no tears. But my impression of Ashley Benefield was that she was telling the truth, that she really was in imminent fear of her life that day, that this guy, what was his name? Doug Benefield, did some horrible things to her. And she was in fear for her life. And you look at someone like Sarah Boone, where she's mocking him, and it's so different to me. And I think it's really hard to judge other people's experiences. And I do not think I would want to be on a jury for either one of them, or at least for Sarah Boone. KSNV. I mean, that's what I have up, right? Isn't that what this is? What's this? No. No, this is KSNV. All right, well, we'll see if it comes up here. You think this is where it'll be on this Live U channel? Mike says, what if he was making the peace sign because he wanted peace? Yeah, the two finger, exactly, Mel Stiller, the two fingers that Sarah Boone hit with a bat. Yeah, it was found out recently that she grabbed a baseball bat and hit him. Hit him with the bat, hit his fingers anyway. Oh, here we go. All right, I found it. Thank you so very much. We're not too far behind. Just a couple of minutes. Oh no, wait a second. No, that's not it. Is that the live feed? It's only a 3-minute video. Hold on. They're not making it easy for me today, you guys. Give me a sec. Not making it easy. Anyone? Oh, Brandy's having the same issues. I know. I knew that she was also covering it, and I just looked at her channel, and she's got it up too, but she doesn't have any feed up yet. I mean, I've got every local news station up. And here we are. All right, good. So I'm in good company. Anyone watching Love is Blind? No. Christy, all right. Christy says, I watched Dr. John and Lauren last night. A totally different take on Robert Allen. His psyche, it was interesting. Lauren is going, but the trial has no phones or video at all. Yeah, you know who else is there? Bob Motta from Defense Diaries is there. And Andrea Burkhart is there. And so I recommend both of them if you want to get details about what's going on in court every day. Some very interesting information dropped yesterday on that case. That's the Delphi case for those of you who don't know. And it appears that the hair that was found in one of the girl's hands does not belong to Richard Allen. That's new information. And Lawyer Lee is also in Delphi. Interesting. Tell me this, because, I haven't been following that trial religiously like many of you probably have, but tell me this. It seems like the jury is being picked in one county and then they're moving to a different county for the trial, which is 2 hours away from where the jurors are being bussed from. And the entire jury has to be sequestered for the entire trial in hotels, no devices, away from their families. That's the reason. And I think, is the jury already picked? Or are they trying to find one more at this point? So that's going to be really interesting. Hi, Radine. Good morning. Can't wait to see how this unrolls. This is the case that gives us levity. I love being a cupcake. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Radine. Thank you so much. All right, Charmene. Thank you. They're being picked from Fort Wayne, Allen County. Okay. And then they're going to take them to 2 hours away to a different courthouse. And they all have to stay in hotels. Yeah, that is really rough on a jury, the sequestration. That is really rough. Somebody said they bought Carly a book. Wait, hang on a second. Sir Winston says, I disagreed with Hidden True Crime last night a lot. Respectfully, I'm on the fence. If is Richard Allen is guilty, then yes, Dr. Don is right, but we don't know actually he did anything yet. That's a good point. I mean, I personally, I've not taken a deep dive into that case, but the thing that did interest me a lot was when the defense made the motion about the Odinism and the staging of the crime scene and how it looked like it could be related to some sort of ritual or some sort of Odinist ritual. And then even the detectives initially on the case were going in that direction. And the judges ruled they're not going to be allowed to use any of that at the trial. So I kind of disagree with that, because I feel like if there's another theory, that the jury should be able to hear about it, because it also turned out that some of the people that are close to the victims may or may not have ties to that same religion or pagan religion, or I'm not even sure what Odinism is, because I didn't do a deep dive, like I said. So, so I always had questions about that case. I covered it with Duty Ron on his channel a bunch. I also had problems with the fact that they were keeping this man in solitary, in a prison instead of a jail. He's not been convicted. Oh, wait, here we go. Sure.
Should not be pronounced against you at this time. No. By virtue of the verdict returned by the jury in this matter, I hereby adjudicate you guilty of murder with use of a deadly weapon. Victim 60 years of age or older. Does the state wish to be heard?
Just briefly, Your Honor, thank you. As the court well knows from sitting through this trial, the jury in this case found that Mr. Tellis willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation killed Mr. Gehrman. He did it by means of lying in wait, and it was inflicted on an older person. The jury also found that a deadly weapon was used, and Mr. Gehrman's age was, of course, over 60 at the time of the crime. Essentially, the jury found every single essential fact alleged by the state based on the investigation by Metro detectives. And they found that beyond a reasonable doubt after hearing from Mr. Tellis. The court gave him wide latitude to explain and offer evidence of all the hollow claims that he made pre-trial against detectives and elected officials. He made those same allegations at trial. He alleged detectives planted evidence. He alleged various conspiracy theories involving real estate companies. He claimed various detectives were unethical, and that there were several corrupt officials involved in the circumstances he found himself in. The jury squarely and soundly rejected all of that. All of the theories offered by Mr. Tellis were rejected by the jury, and the jury was left with the facts and the evidence that have always been there since the beginning of the case. And that is that Mr. Tellis planned this extensively. He drove to Mr. Gehrman's house. He was lying in wait, and he attacked him from a place of cover. And of course, Mr. Gehrman was 69 years old at the time it occurred. The court knows from the evidence in the trial that the planning was extensive. Mr. Tellis used taxpayer-issued resources to look up personal information about Mr. Gehrman. He scoped out Mr. Gehrman's neighborhood ahead of time, and then, of course, he attacked someone much older than him by surprise. His reason for doing this, we learned, was that he didn't like what Mr. Gehrman had written about him. He felt that Mr. Gehrman had cost him an elected position. This type of violence, this sort of political violence, because of being upset about an article that has been written about you, is unacceptable and dangerous to our community as a whole. Beyond that, Mr. Gehrman's position as a reporter for decades in Clark County, his death affects the community in a unique way. There are many people who were readers who felt like they knew Mr. Gehrman and relied upon him to supply them with information about various news within Clark County. And finally, and most importantly, the family of Mr. Gehrman lost a beloved family member, an uncle, and a brother. Based on all of these factors, the state respectfully asks for the maximum sentencing enhancement available to the court. We do have one victim speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Tellis, do you wish to address the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh boy, here we go.
First of all, I want to say that the family have my deepest condolences. They're, Mr. Gehrman was, very impactful in the community. He was, he made a difference. And we know from testimony by the family that he was a good brother and a good uncle. And I understand the desire to seek justice and have somebody accountable for this. But I did not kill Mr. Gehrman. And unfortunately, the people who should be held responsible, who should be brought to justice, the chances of that happening now, right this minute, are slim to none.
Slim to none.
But that said, again, my deepest sympathies to the family. And I wish them well as they navigate the rest of this tragedy.
Thank you very much. Mr. Paxton.
I'll be brief. Your Honor, we're very attentive to this trial, which was lengthy. The jury was able to hear the state's case, the defense's case, and they ultimately reached their verdict. We're not here to question the verdict this morning. Mr. Tellis exercised his constitutional right to go to trial and to testify. Period. That's what makes this country so great, this judicial system where we take cases, we take facts, we take theories of prosecution and defense and present it to a jury. Obviously, the jury was very thorough and careful. It took 3 days to go through everything before they reached their ultimate conclusion. Mr. Tellis was convicted. To punish him for doing that, and I'm not anticipating that the court would ever do this, and I'm not saying that Your Honor is, to punish him for exercising his constitutional right is obviously inappropriate. He intends to pursue an appeal. Obviously, again, that's not really for today's discussion. What is his utter lack of criminal history. If you look on page 3 of the pre-sentence investigation report, criminal record.
How about his utter lack of remorse? Can we take that into consideration? He still didn't do it. He says, no remorse. A little bit of sympathy for the family, not too much. I feel sorry for you guys, and I'm really sorry you have to go through this, but it wasn't me.
Have a long string of zeros, felonies, gross misdemeanors, prison, jail. He doesn't have any prior convictions.
Okay, we just heard Robert Tellis address the courtroom, and
don't interrupt it.
Gehrman's family directly will be right.
The moment that you walk into Subaru of Las Vegas,
what are they doing?
Important. Everyone's welcoming with open arms, and you come to them for anything, whether it's service, parts, or sales. You can ask any question that.
Just mute it. Yeah, it wasn't him. He didn't do it. He's still pretending to be Shaggy. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I mean, are you surprised, really? I mean, I don't think I'm very surprised. All right, I'm going to, I found another stream that may not have commercials. So let's flip over there. And this, interestingly enough, this is the Las Vegas Review-Journal. This is the publication for which Jeff Gehrman was a reporter. So they've got a real, a real stake in this. Really, they're really invested in this. Let's take it back and listen to Boss Baby's explanation. He gives a surprisingly short statement here. And if you wouldn't mind sharing the stream out in case you know anybody who wants to see it, that would be fantastic. Send them in. Here we go. Anytime anybody says, like, I'm sorry for your loss, but just turns my stomach. Here we go.
To address the court.
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, I want to say that the family has my deepest condolences. They're, Mr. Gurman was, very impactful in the community. He was impactful. He made a difference. And we know from testimony by the family that he was a good brother and a good uncle. And I understand the desire to seek justice and have somebody accountable for this. But I did not kill Mr. Gurman. And unfortunately, the people who should be held responsible, who should be brought to justice, the chances of that happening now, right this minute, are slim to none. But that said, again, my deepest sympathies to the family. And I wish them well as they navigate the rest of this tragedy.
Thank you very much.
I'll be brief. Your Honor was very attentive through this trial, which was lengthy.
It wasn't lengthy.
The jury was able to hear the state's case, the defense's case, and they ultimately reached their verdict. We're not here to question the verdict this morning. Mr. Tellis exercised his constitutional right to go to trial and to testify, period. That's what makes this country so great, this judicial system where we take cases, we take facts, we take theories of prosecution and defense and present it to a jury. Obviously, the jury was very thorough and careful. It took 3 days to go through everything before they reached their ultimate conclusion. Mr. Tellis was convicted. Punish him for doing that. I'm not anticipating that the court would ever do this, and I'm not saying that Your Honor is. To punish him for exercising his constitutional right is obviously inappropriate. He intends to pursue an appeal. Obviously, again, that's not really for today's discussion. What is his utter lack of criminal history. If you look on page 3 of the pre-sentence investigation report, criminal record, we have a long string of zeros, felonies, gross misdemeanors, prison, jail. He doesn't have any prior convictions. He's not.
Well, yeah, because maybe he never killed anybody before. Come on, man. Okay, for those of you not looking at the screen, just come look at your screen for a second, because Andrea Collins has dubbed this gentleman on the left-hand side of your screen Court Officer Daddy. Just for fun. And it's a compliment.
Not a recidivist that is before this court or others repeatedly being convicted or entering pleas for violent crimes, saying, Judge, this time, give me a chance. This time, things will be different. Your Honor heard from his family. He's an exemplary father. He was a good student. He was elected to office.
Good student.
In most part, he was a good husband.
He cheated on his wife.
You have to look at the entire man.
He cheated on his wife in the back seat of the woman's car that worked in his office. Are we forgetting about Roberta? Wasn't her name Roberta? He was a good husband for the most part. Oh my God. Yeah, he doesn't think the real killers are ever going to be found now. The chances, he says, are slim and none. And yeah, and Slim just got on the bus because you're the one, in my opinion. Innocent until proven guilty. And he has been proven guilty, so I can say he's guilty now, right, you guys?
He's been convicted of perhaps the most serious offense. He carries one of the heaviest sentences in our judicial system.
Unfortunate.
The jury elected to give him the opportunity at redemption. There obviously was an element of retribution in the sentence they imposed, but nonetheless, they gave him the opportunity to one day be released. What's before Your Honor is, again, how much above that 20-year sentence will he have to serve before he's eligible for parole. Given his utter lack of criminal history, I would urge the court to sentence him to something less than the maximum. I mean, the maximum sentence, we can't stack these enhancements. I mean, maximum sentence would be an additional 8 to 20 years. I'm going to urge the court to allow the parole board a bit more discretion. I would urge the court to consider a 1 to 10 year enhancement, which is allowable under statute, and allow the parole board to determine when he should be released. Of course, it's a two-step program. Number one, he'd have to be eligible for parole on the murder count, which won't occur until 20 years is served. But then there's the second consecutive sentence that must be served for the enhancements. I would urge the court to impose a sense of leniency in that he has no prior criminal record.
How about the people that are just coming in
Thomas,
that are not regulars here? How about we don't put spoilers in the chat, okay? That'd be nice. Thank you. We're a little bit behind. Thanks so much.
Been actively engaged in his defense since the get-go. That continues through today. Again, I would urge the court to not hold that against him. And based upon what the evidence Your Honor has heard, the statements of the parties, our arguments, and the information contained within the pre-sentence investigation report, which I just want to put on the record, there's no Stockmeyer issues. We submitted to Your Honor's sound discretion.
Thank you very much. We move on to first witness.
Garrett.
This is Jay Gehrman. I believe it's Jeff's brother. We saw him testify, read a statement, I believe, at the
Can you please state and spell
after the
your
trial.
first and last name for the record?
Sure, Jay Gehrman, Jaygerman.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Thank you for allowing me to just talk a little bit. Yeah, we lost a brother. We lost an uncle, a friend, a leader. We're still in shock, and it's been 2 years. And I mean, it's going to take a long time to recover from this. It's taken up this whole ordeal, the trial, the crime, the murder. It's taken a big toll on our family, and it's been immense. It's been really difficult for all of us. We're doing our best to get through it. We really are. But he was our leader, and we're never going to see him again, and it's hard to come to that realization. But we're dealing with it. It's just going to take a long process for all of us, to recover. And we're struggling with it, but we're doing the best, and we miss him dearly. We really do. We've had a couple of his birthdays since he's passed, and it's nice to get together as a family and, kind of visit with Jeff, but it's not the same, and it never will be. We've lost a lot. He lost a lot. We have a lot of anxiety about the future safety of our family, and the children of our family, if Robert Tellis were to be released after just 20 years of incarceration. But thank you for letting me take a few minutes to talk about Jeff and our family.
Thank you. And thank you for your testimony. Anything else?
Not on behalf of the state.
In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court does now sentence you as follows. In addition to the administrative assessment, the DNA fee, and the collection fee, you'll be required to submit to genetic marker testing. At this time, the court's going to sentence you to life in the Nevada Department of Corrections with parole eligibility beginning after a minimum of 20 years has been served, and after considering all the factors enumerated in NRS 193.165, the court's going to sentence you to a consecutive 8 to 20 years for the deadly weapon enhancement, for an aggregate 28 to life. in the Nevada Department of Corrections. He has 771 days. Does the defense agree with that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and the restitution, was there any objection to the restitution amount?
No, Your Honor.
And opposed restitution, the amount of $23,347.71 to the victim's family.
Thank you. We do have two housekeeping matters. One, there was a request for return of property. I've reached out to Mr. Hamner. We anticipate an order being signed to return items that were seized that were not of evidentiary value to Mr. Tellis' family. Secondly, we filed a motion to withdraw. There's not been a breakdown of communications. We've had a very good level of communication and participation from Mr. Tellis and ourselves through the course of this case. We were retained for trial in this matter. Obviously, now the case is going to the next stage. I visited with him yesterday. He's aware of the motion, which we gave him a copy of this morning. I know we have a representative from the public defender's office here. Obviously, there's an appeal that's going to be pursued. We want to bring that to the court's attention. I would ask that Your Honor grant our motion and set the matter for a status check in a week for confirmation of appellate counsel. And that's I don't believe there'll be an opposition from or an objection from the state reference our request.
Okay,
Or from Mr. Tellis.
Someone here from the public defender's office?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
He's like, get me off this case today, Judge. I want to walk out of this courtroom a free man, says Robert Draskovich. A free man, free of boss baby Robert Tellis. Please, Judge, let me out.
Freedom from the public defender's office. We're ready to accept confirmance counsel today. So.
Okay, and is that your desire, Mr. Tellis?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll grant the motion to withdraw. The public defender is appointed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
You've been watching Breaking
That's
News from
it.
Las Vegas Review
He's
Journal.
now Robert Draskovich, at least is a free man. He doesn't have to deal with Robert Tellis anymore. So just to wrap, the judge has enhanced Robert Tellis's sentence of life with possibility in parole after 20 years. She's essentially enhanced it by 8 years. So he will not be eligible for parole until at least 28 years from now. Robert Draskovich has made a motion to be relieved as counsel or to get out of this case, which was just granted by the judge. And now he's going to receive, and the public defender has accepted his case for purposes of an appeal. Thank you. I'm Just a Girl in the World for gifting 5 memberships, and to all of those who were gifted, welcome. And Team Brittany, 10 memberships. Thank you so much, girl. You didn't need to do that. You're all so very kind and generous. We have the greatest chat on the internet, the greatest chat on YouTube, the nicest, kindest viewership. Thank you, Team Brittany. And thank you, I'm Just a Girl in the World. And thank you to Private Info for gifting me 20 memberships. You guys are really, really amazing. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Now he's going to Disney World, says Will. Yeah, and they lock up a 14-year-old and throw away the key without ever getting the possibility of parole. And listen, Tellis's crime was in cold blood, right? I mean, really in cold blood. Wearing that stupid costume. I mean, that was one of the, I mean, that might be like the my favorite trial that we've watched so far, just because he was clearly, in my opinion, he was clearly guilty. There was so much evidence against him, but he's still claiming that he's not. He's still claiming it wasn't him in that giant straw hat and those cheap Nike sneakers from Marshalls or Ross that were found cut up underneath his reclining chair. And also the straw hat that was found in his garage. Oh, Team Brittany, another 5 memberships. Did you hit that button by mistake, girl? You okay over there? Thank you so much to the next 5 who have been gifted. We're going to come back later, I believe, for the Menendez press conference. There's going to be a press conference that many members of the family are flying into LA for. That's going to be at 4 p.m. New York time, I believe. I just need to double check the time. I need to move some things around. I need to move a meeting around so that I can be there to cover that with you live. Should be some very interesting, maybe, information on the Menendez brothers case. I don't know if they're going to release them exactly from prison right now, but George Gascon, who is the LA County district attorney has said that they're taking another look at this case, and the family is flying in. I've heard conflicting reports about what's going to happen today, about whether it's going to be the family's press conference or if it's going to be the DA's press conference. And if any of you know about that, you can let me know right here. That's scheduled allegedly to start at 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 4 p.m. Eastern. And we will, of course, be here to cover that together. Let me just see if Jaywan has said anything else in her Twitter feed. Remember, we increased her viewership so much during this trial. Well, she's only up to 1,388 followers, but go back, and if you did not already follow Jaewon Jung, she actually sent me a really nice email like, thank you so much for telling people to follow me. I'm like, women helping women. That's what we do, right? That is what we do. This was her earlier tweets. Let's see if there's 2 more. In case you were not with me earlier, Jaewon Jung is a reporter for KTNV Las Vegas. She tweeted earlier, it's a packed courtroom for the sentencing of Robert Tellis. Just fix the view here. His former co-workers, Jeff Garman's family and DA Wolfson, are all in the gallery. I think you called Wolfson. Didn't you guys also call the DA Wolfson DA daddy? I mean, we had a couple of daddies in this trial and a couple of really, really attractive women. All the witnesses in this trial, it was like one witness was more beautiful than the next. It was crazy. Robert Draskovich has filed a motion to withdraw his counsel. That we just saw that granted. And then prosecutor Pamela Weckerly tells me Draskovich plans to withdraw his counsel after sentencing. We saw that. A jury already sentenced Tellis to life without the possibility of parole after 20 years. Today, the judge will add 1 to 8 years onto the sentencing before parole eligibility, and she did add 8 more years onto his sentence, as she will tell us next. Weckerly tells the court that the jury found beyond a reasonable doubt that Tellis murdered Garman, a victim of 60 years or older, and it was by means of lying in wait. Tellis is shaking his head while Weckerly speaks. We saw that. Weckerly asked for the maximum enhancement sentencing. Tellis turns to the gallery and tells Garman's family they have his deepest condolences. Draskovich says Tellis has lack of criminal history. He talks about how the judge heard testimony from Tellis's family about being a good father and husband. Yeah, and he said what? For the most part, he was a good husband. And he beat his wife. We saw the body cam footage of that domestic incident. The wife was so afraid for her life and the lives of her children that she called 911. I think eventually those charges somehow got dropped. I'm not sure if she agreed to drop them or if there just wasn't enough evidence, but it was crazy. And he also cheated on his wife with a woman in his office. And it's been made very, very public because of this trial and because of the reporting of Jeff Garman, because the other employees at the office who thought that he was a horrible boss and a toxic work environment. And he was, there was a lot of discrimination in that office. He was the public administrator for Clark County. They surveilled him and they got video footage of Robert Tellis coming out of the back seat with his employee, Roberta. And she got on the stand, and that poor woman had to be publicly shamed with a scarlet letter because of this trial. Jay Garman, she goes on to say, Jeff Garman, Jay Garman, Jeff's brother, testifies. We lost a brother, an uncle, a friend, a leader. We're still in shock. Yeah, he also said that he was our leader. Jeff was our leader. And we still get together to celebrate his birthday. And then he also said there's concern about his family's safety if Tellis is released after just 20 years. Judge sentenced Tellis to life in prison with possibility of parole after a minimum of 28 years. Draskovich now withdraws his counsel and Tellis has appointed a public defender for his appeal. And that is that. And look at us. We got this done in just an hour today. I'm going to, you know what I'm going to put in the chat? I'll put Carly's wish list in the chat in case you guys want to, because I know a lot of you are looking for it, and it is in the description of the last video, but for sake of convenience, I'm also going to post it for you here. Give me a second to just pull it up. If you didn't watch the show that I did last night with Glare, check that out, which was, I thought, a great show. Very entertaining. Here's Carly's wish list. Witch list, I almost said. I'm thinking about that Kentucky case. You guys, I did a show on that Kentucky case. If you haven't watched that show, I'm going to pin this. I can't pin it from, why can't I pin it from StreamYard? Oh, I can't pin it from StreamYard. If you did not watch the show that I did on the Kentucky woman, Tori Fields, who allegedly dismembered and cooked her mother in northern Kentucky, check that out because that's a wild case. I don't know what's going to happen next. Her charges were upgraded to murder. She's in Kentucky. I found some other interesting information on her in that she had just moved back to Kentucky. She was living in LA. She also was an actress. I found her Instagram and she was a model. And apparently very recently, she had a very bad motorcycle accident in California that led to a traumatic brain injury. Now I'm thinking that this makes sense. Anybody who knows anybody that's ever suffered a traumatic brain injury can change your personality, can make you incredibly violent. So that may be a factor here in the Kentucky case of Tori or Toralina Fields. Go check that out and give it a like, give it a share because it's not really getting out there. I don't think a lot of people know about this case. She was casting spells, said the workers at the house, casting spells and being confrontational. And then there was a 12-hour standoff at the house. And the Kentucky State Police had to send in, well, they bombed the place with tear gas to get her out of there and also sent a robot in to communicate communicate with her to get her out. It was wild, absolutely wild. So I'm going to be covering that for you. Thank you, Jenny Grace, for saying that I have the best channel, for hanging in there with me for 2 months and for a super sticker. Thank you so much. Thanks. What the Duck became a new member. I love when you guys change your names for the trials. That's a Canton reference. Thank you, Midnight Mike, for your super sticker. You too are so very kind and generous. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's free. Make sure you hit the bell so that when I go live, you are going to know it. Because I have to set that stream up for later for the Menendez brothers. And thank you, Helene, so much for your very kind Venmo and for saying that you love my coverage. And I love that you guys choose to watch your coverage with me because I know you have a lot of choices when it comes to watching your trial coverage. Lisa Marie, thank you so much for the 2 cash apps you sent me this morning. You also are so very kind and generous. Thank you. Blessed Mom from Texas, that is. I owe you a mug. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I'm sorry, baby. All right. Let's see. What does it say? Are you going to be doing anything, any reporting on the Delphi trial? I am going to be going on Defense Diaries with Ali Mata. Her husband, Bob, is at the trial in Delphi, and we are going to do, I'm not sure what we're going to do yet, but actually I was watching their stream this morning or listening to them. They were covering the Sarah Boone hearing, and they were talking about me coming on their show. So we've been trying to get it together for a long time. And so you can look for that. Obviously, I'll make a community post when I do that. So my Amazon list, yeah, should have everything of my makeup wise. It should be. You know what I buy a lot of? Like, what's the brand? Elf. You can buy it at a drugstore. It's got great pigment in it. It's really cheap. And I have like Chanel eyeshadow, and I find that Elf is even better. It lasts. It's good for on camera. On camera makeup is kind of different from everyday makeup because it really you need to wear a lot more makeup when you're on camera. I have an Amazon list. It should be in the, it should be in the video description. And if it's not, it's in the channel description for sure. But you can find it there. My earrings are specially made by a guy, a local in Cancun who makes these every time Dave Matthews comes to town. His name's Javier. Javier, if you're watching, shout out to Javier. He makes them for all the bands that come to Cancun to do their residencies every winter, like Dead and Company. I have some Grateful Dead ones and these are Dave Matthews Fire Dancers. And yeah, cool, right? We also have a fire dancer emoji in the chat for members. Because I'm a Dave Matthews fan, as you can see from the posters behind me. Well, there's Dead and Company. There's Dave Matthews Band, who actually are being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. It's about time. It's about time. If you know, you know. It's about time. I don't know when the Kentucky Sheriff case starts. It's going to be a long time. I mean, we saw a preliminary hearing on it, Alana. I know that, I don't know when the trial is going to start. I'm anxious to hear some more information on that because I need to know what was on that judge's phone. there's a lot more to that story too. There's a lot of rumors flying around. Yeah, AJ got these from Cancun wine, Yogi. You know it. You can also buy Elf at Walmart. We don't really have Walmart around here, but they also sell it at CVS. I know Emily Baker and I should go to their induction. I know I'm working on it. Yeah, finally is right. Yeah, finally. It's only been, I mean, I feel like I almost feel like Dave Matthews and I went to college together because he got his comeuppance when I think we were both in college. And he's married to like his high school sweetheart. Love him. I just love him so much. Not a fan. Oh, Scott, you're not a fan of Dave Matthews' version of All Along the Watchtower into Stairway? Well, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of Watchtower. I mean, it's kind of like a bathroom song for me because everyone covers it. So when like even the dead cover Watchtower, it's usually my bathroom song. Oh, thank you. Thank you for ordering something, Lisa, for Carly. That's very kind of you. Dave Matthews got you out of a Great Depression, Joyce? Yeah, music can do that, right? Scooter. You're not my Scooter, are you? I have a friend named Scooter from college that I went on tour with maybe around this time in 1987, but we didn't go to Rochester. 1987, we did the summer tour, and it was, I think it was 87. Yeah, it was 87. It was Red Rocks, Telluride. Was it Las Vegas, that tour? UNLV. Tempe, Arizona. And Park City, they played on the mountain. That was really cool. That was a really cool summer tour. That was a lot of fun. I saw more of the United States following the Grateful Dead around than I ever would have otherwise. And they were following me, I like to say. And my parents would say, why do you need to go to 3 Grateful Dead shows in a row? You know, why, if they're coming to Radio City, do you need to go 8 times? And I would say, but you watch the Jets game every Sunday, right? It's different every single time. And then they got it and they understood, right? Red Rocks is a great venue. Amazing. Amazing. Good night, Aussie woman. It's 3 a.m. for you. Good night. All right, everyone, make sure you got that bell hit. Make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Make sure you share the streams. Make sure you like them, watch them. Go back and watch Glaire's show from last night on his channel that I did with him. We had a really good time, and there was a lot of information in there. We did that about the Karen Reed tour. Oh, Joseph Kane, were you on tour in 87 too? That was summer 87. Those were the good old days. And then 88, July 4th weekend was in Oxford Plains, Maine. If you know, you know. It was like at a speedway in Maine, Oxford Plains. Those were some great shows too. July 4th, 1988. Oh, those are the days, my friends. All right. Thanks, Moz, for keeping the chat classy. Short one today. Probably a nice, friendly, easy chat. I will see you later on today for the Menendez press conference. And, just thank you for being you and for being an amazing community and for being so kind and generous to not only me and this channel, but to each other, because that's what makes this world a much better place to be in. So remember, as I always say, be cool, be kind, be classy. It's not hard. I promise you, it is so not hard. Peace. See you later on today, probably 4 p.m. Eastern.